and welcome. You're watching India Ahead News. I'm Divya Sharma. As the Shraddha murder case shakes up one in the nitty-gritties of how it was executed, one big question that all of us think while listening to her friends and her father reporting is, why was she hanging around in an abusive relationship? We wonder if one lacks the safety net to move out of such relationships. Lockdown, of course, has brought one of the ugliest truths of the society to spotlight. Domestic violence has seen a drastic rise with victims and the abusers both stuck at home. Now, the National Commission of Women, the NCW, said that there were more than 315 cases of domestic violence which were reported via WhatsApp and online in 2020 itself, and which was the highest recorded since 2019. But also a lot of these cases have not been reported. So now if we go by a series of statements coming from the NCW and media reports, domestic violence seems to have been a grave concern during this time. Now let me quickly introduce today's panel. We have with us Yukti Rathi, who's an advocate and an activist, Dr. Nisha Khanna, who's a psychologist, Dr. Bhavuk Garg, an associate professor of psychiatry and Lady Harding Medical College, and Ekta Vivek Verma, who's the founder of Invisible Scars, who's also a psychologist. Now, the signs that suggest that one may be in a toxic relationship. My first question going, of course, to you, Dr. Nisha Khanna, what signs are there that indicate a toxic relationship, and what point in time should family and the friends, decide to step in?
The basic thing is when you are able to notice the red flags in a relationship. When I'm talking about red flags, for example, you are able to watch there are incompatibility issues.
Okay.
Incompatibility issues, when I'm talking about, there is a difference between understanding what you say and what other person understands. For example, I may something, okay, you do this work, but other person understanding something that I am telling to do some particular work, maybe hurting the ego of the person.
Okay.
Which I have no such intentions. Maybe another thing, we can say that other person is stopping you from interacting with others, isolating you. Either it is a friends, it is a family, it may be one another reasons. Third thing is that maybe having a watch on whatever you do. Maybe you are doing social networking sites, social media, whatever you are doing,
Okay.
With whom you talk, what you wear, what you not to wear. That's again a red flag. Third thing, when another sign of violence, it may be emotional abuse. Maybe your partner is degrading you. You are not good enough. You are not looking good enough. You are not earning good enough. You don't know this. You don't know that. So degrading you, devaluing you.
Right.
This is another sign. Violence, physical violence also. So when you say is that raising a hand, maybe sometimes they say is like, okay, it's by mistake it happened, but it is not mistake, because hitting is a habit. It is not once. Another thing, your partner is giving you the threats of leaving you, threats of giving you, sometimes in the cases, I will tell public, I will file some case against you, that sort of threats, or I will tell public what you did, why you did it, or I will release some photograph or a video of ours, something. And another point what I observed in the relationship is like financial things, financial blackmailing or financial abuse is there also. Controlling on finances, where to spend, what to spend, all those things are the signs where the person has to understand there are incompatibility issues. Another thing is also when a couple has the thought process differences, they are not spending time enough, not appreciating you. That is also another point. There is word called stonewalling. Whatever you are saying, other person is not responding you, is silently listening you what you are saying and not reacting at all over that topic.
Absolutely.
So
now let me quickly go to Dr. Bhavik Garg now. Now here a very important sign to note is that one might see these signs not only the other person but also in oneself, and even notice in both of you. Now Dr. Garg, what are usually the reasons why do people choose to stay in an abusive relationship?
It's a very important question. Reasons that relationship. One of the foremost reasons that we see is frequently the individuals who stay in a toxic relationship, they suffer from low self-esteem, and they do not get the strength or the courage to move out of that relationship. They have fear that they might not be able to develop a new relationship, they might not be able to sustain a relationship. And additionally, sometimes, especially if we talk about females and the female continue to suffer in toxic relationship, is I think a lack of empowerment. See, when you get empowered, when you are at a higher position, you are someone and you have a status in the society, then you won't sustain yourself through a toxic relationship. But not being empowered, feeling that you depend on the other person, makes you continue to stay in a toxic relationship. We also talk about a kind of a personality, a dependent personality, where the individual needs to cling on to someone or needs the approval of the other person, and for that need, they continue to stay in toxic relationships. So, multiple reasons that can contribute.
A lot of reasons are there. Right. Now, let's go to Dr. Ekta Vivek Verma now. At what stage, Ekta, do you usually receive a complaint? And in a usual case scenario, who are the complainants? Is it like the victim, or do their friends or their families ever complain as well?
Right. So I will begin by saying that mostly, of course, domestic violence affects everybody, but women are disproportionately impacted by domestic violence. And domestic violence, women always reach out to us, when they have no way to salvage the relationship. They stay in these relationships, they stay hopeful, they keep thinking that they will salvage it somehow. But the problem doesn't begin from there. The problem begins from the day a girl is born in a family. From the very minute she is born, we start telling her, adjust. If your brother wants something better, adjust. If your father is asking you to do something, adjust. If your mother's telling you this is right, adjust. So all your life, all you have learned how to do is adjust. And so what you keep doing, and
But
this is
Ekta,
known as
there is
conditioning,
one
and
more
we have a
thing here.
psychiatrist and a psychologist both, and these girls just keep adjusting to whatever situation that they come across, and they absolutely wait for the nth moment to reach out to us for help. And they are not aware they will come to us with multiple stereotypes. I mean, today the internet is an open place. There are thousands and thousands of videos, there is enough material. We want you at least go and read. We understand that conditioning is there, and you will reach out to us and come to us at a stage where you feel that it's not going to work out. But a person like Aftab would not have been violent on the day he killed Shraddha. He would have been violent for years with her.
True.
He was violent from the very beginning. He displayed signs, and I'm sure there would have been other subtle signs like picking up fights in public, maybe, being cruel to pets, all of these things. And he looks like an absolutely normal person. When you look at him, you are stunned. Some might even say, oh, he's very, very kind, he's very well behaved, soft spoken, and things like that.
Right.
What we need to understand is that there is no black and white in domestic violence and abuse. It is an entire gray area. So we talk about conditioning of women, we talk about society not supporting them, and we also understand that there is this whole set of abusers who are violent, and they have been displaying this behavior, but lack of awareness, the conditioning that girls face, are what leads them to report so late to us.
Right, Ekta, but one more very important thing here. Of course, you said, and we know that majority of people who face domestic violence and violence otherwise in a relationship are women. But of course, there is a percentage of men also. So as you said, you cannot just go by the face or how one looks, be it a man or a woman. They can look any way they want to, but the gray area is in the actions or in the way the relationship is being processed. Tell me, once you get a report, what is the process you then follow?
So it's very simple. When you reach out to us, a needs assessment, we try and understand where exactly you are in your relationship.
Okay.
Not every relationship is physically violent. There is emotional abuse, there is psychological abuse, there is economic abuse. In many relationships, there is sexual abuse. So we try and understand what the survivor wants at that point of time, and we accordingly suggest and guide them. We lead them to report, we lead them to seek help in terms of counseling, we lead them to legal help. But everything is done with the comfort of the survivor in their mind. However, when we
Yeah.
do see situations where we feel this is going out of hand, we also offer to rescue certain survivors who are facing, especially in cases of physical violence, because in our experience, disability and death are two very real consequences of any form of physical violence. And that is what we fear the most. So we always suggest and strongly suggest and try and handle that person through counseling, and through making them understand what their rights are, to get them to report or move out of a physically violent relationship.
Absolutely, Ekta. Going to Yukti Rathi, who's also an advocate along with being an activist. Now, Yukti, of course, we heard activists say that many cases could be going unreported because women in most cases might not even be able to come forward and lodge a complaint with the concerned authorities. And specifically so, even during the lockdown, a lot of this happens. So the first question that comes to our mind is, if a woman is facing or a man is facing, violence with an intimate partner, what are the basic legal options that are available to him or her in the first place?
Case of Shraddha and Aftab is totally different because I
Absolutely.
think this is a case of love scam. Shraddha was somehow trapped. She left her career, she left her home, she left Mumbai, she even left her parents, and she lodged the FIR in which she says that she don't want to continue any relationship with her parents. And the problem here is that the status of live-in relationships are not clear in India till now. Women don't know that they also have rights in the live-in relationship because there's no any subject, there's no different act, there's no different law on live-in relationship.
Absolutely.
Our
Yukti,
constitution
let me
also
just
don't give
interject
women
here.
these rights.
Yeah,
But
you're very right as far as not having proper laws as far as live-ins are concerned. But right now we are primarily talking about, domestic violence. So you might be in a live-in, and of course, Shraddha Aftab case is an extremity in many ways. But what about a normal person who is going through violence, or even not even if it might not even be violence, but yes, a lot of issues which lead to depression, etc., etc., etc. So just
see,
talking about that,
domestic
yeah.
violence case can be filed in live-in relationship also, in normal relationship also.
Okay.
The Supreme Court guidelines which are made specially for women, like women can lodge zero FIR anytime from any place, even on the phone. Women can launch a normal complaint. There are women different helplines. Women can directly go to court. Married, unmarried, live in, the women have maintenance right, financial, women have all the right if they want to go.
Okay.
But here I think Shraddha was thinking that that Aftab love her, and so उसको I think पता ही नहीं चला कि उसके साथ क्या हो रहा है, क्या उसके पास right है, because उसने अपने parents को भी छोड़ दिया था, और she was trapped. So this case is that's why different from
Yeah.
the other cases. Women have all the right, basic right, constitution right. There's many amendment which are specially done for the women every year. Like when we see there's an increase in rape cases, then there's a different amendment done for a woman. There's a different law, Domestic Violence Act 2005,
Okay.
which is specially made for a woman. But I think some women got trapped, and they think that this is love, that particular person love her
Yeah.
or love them, and they don't go to the court, they don't go to the police
Yukti,
stations.
on this note, we have another complaint which usually comes from the victims or their families, and that is that FIRs are hardly registered when a woman actually seeks protection from domestic violence under the DV Act or even otherwise. What do you have to say on that? On FIRs, being registered and facing a lot of difficulty as far as doing that is concerned.
No, as per the Supreme Court guidelines, if a woman is going to a police station,
Okay.
then immediately police registers her cases, and that depends on the cases. DV Act can be also filed directly in the court. Women can also file under to the magistrate. They can also file maintenance alimony DV directly, and there are some cases in which police do lethargic work, but generally when there's a case of violence, dowry or beating or physical violence, police go register their FIR immediately. And I have seen that because Supreme Court has regularly given guidelines that police has to register that as soon as possible.
Right. Now going back to Nisha, Yukti, any of you can answer this. Now, is there any pressure from the families to stay in scenarios like this? Especially, I believe that when you have children, the dynamics completely change.
Definitely, the basic thing is when any person is into a marriage or living with the family or the kids ahead, then definitely society pressure is there, parental pressure is there. Even numerous times, I have seen numerous cases where women filed a domestic violence case and where kids stop talking to the mother and start interacting or not be around with the mother, because if they support, then finances are with the father. So
Yeah.
that is one another reason. You have to understand women want walk out numerous times due to the domestic violence cases. Another thing I want to point it out, that major reason also I have seen the wives that either they are married or they are earning well and
Right.
still they don't walk it out. One is the Stockholm syndrome, their coping defense mechanism about, okay, this person is showing love to me, because
Right.
the abuse cycle goes like that. It
Correct.
is like there is a nice time the person is spending it out, and then there is some tension releasing, and then violence comes again, then the honeymoon period. So
Absolutely.
this cycle goes on. When the abuse cycle you are able to identify, and they started with that honeymoon period, and which is good memories. So the person started making remembering, okay, I am doing good this year, or this person is too good, he did good things with me, and not focusing on the negative aspects of the personality. Another thing is that sometimes women also stay in the relationship because, as in Shraddha's case, when we talk about, they took the step against the parental wishes.
Yeah.
Financially, she was also not sound, as whatever I have heard, and what is the age of both of them. They were working in a call center, maybe not earning that great also. So
Right.
financial pressure also comes. Where I will go, maybe the another man also use me or my emotions. Emotionally weak. So when you say emotionally weak, maybe co-dependent personality. The
Absolutely.
person is dependent on or habitual to that person. So
Right.
at that particular time, I always suggest, when you are able to face any difficulty in relationship, go to psychologists, go to premarital counselors, relationship counselors, marriage counselors in such scenario, so that they can understand the situation. If your partner is ready, that's wonderful. If your partner is not ready,
Yeah.
at least you are able to find it out what is good and best for you.
Absolutely, Dr. Nisha, as you specified, it is very important to find out for yourself as to what kind of a situation you are in. Now, going back to Dr. Bhavuk now, what do you think, how do you heal post a separation is another very important question that we do need to address here.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? How do you heal post
Yeah,
separation?
so I was saying, even if you do decide to separate and come out of, such a situation where you were stuck, how do you heal? What is the process of healing as per you?
So, see, when a person decides to separate and come out of an abusive relationship, there are multiple issues that come forward. First is going back to the family. If you have
Yeah.
gone against family's wishes into a relationship, then going back to the family, you have that hesitancy, you have that emotional turmoil that how will I talk to my parents, how will I talk to my family, will they accept me,
Correct.
won't they accept me, right? So that emotional turmoil is there, which gives rise to certain anxiety issues, which may not necessarily translate into a disorder. Many times we feel that, if we take a step to separate, we will develop some psychological issue, right? So, but that's not the case. There are certain subsyndromal anxiety symptoms that may develop. Then there is this financial issue, that how will I support myself financially? Who will support me? Then there's that need for entering into a relationship. Will I be able to enter into a new relationship or not? So all these are the concerns that can happen post separation. But just to add here, what we see in our clinics also, it's not necessary that separation will lead to psychological disorder or psychological issue, right? It's not necessary that it will lead to a psychological issue, and many a times taking this step, taking the bold step of separating and coming out of an abusive relationship actually improves your psychological health, actually improves your mental health.
Absolutely. Dr. Nisha, would you also want to talk about this? What steps can be taken if a person wants to heal himself or himself?
The basic thing is self-care. Self-care is very important. That when you are talking about self-care, it is maybe on physical level. Maybe start getting for the physical activity. That is that taking care of your diet. That is more important. What sort of food you are taking, that is also very important. Third thing also says that you dress up well, because when you are stressed, when you are not well, you don't feel like dressing up well. Third thing, support system. I always say talks about fourth thing is support system. When you have good amount of support system, if your family is not there, you have friends with whom you talk about, you share your things, and there are lots of free helpline numbers. Even the government is running lots of counseling centers where free website is there where you can go and call and share about your details. Even numerous times during the lockdown also, and right now also, we are also helping people with the free counseling, that if somebody is in the hour of need, we provide free counseling sessions so that they can be of any help if you are in such sort of trouble. So another thing is that when you are talking, taking, so other person be confident. Maybe other person is trying to boost or lower down your confidence or make you feel very low about self. Maybe you did this task to hurt me, or you hurt me so badly. Maybe sometimes these criminals use
Nisha, due to
self-mutilation.
let
They
me
hurt
just
themselves.
yeah, thank you, Nisha. But we do have a lack of time right now. Let me quickly take a question uh, to Ekta now. Ekta, is there any rehabilitation program that we already have in place?
So first of all, let me just answer a couple of questions which you asked the others.
Okay.
So we have a 6.8% conviction rate in our courts,
All right.
right? When we talk about reporting, reporting is not at all robust, right?
Okay.
It is very insensitive, and we have our data, we do not have proper data with respect to domestic violence. And like you rightly said, the reporting is at a very low 14-15%. That is also not clear in terms of data. All of this is whatever reported crimes we have. So coming back to rehabilitation, it is in the same condition rehabilitation as the reporting, as support is. And it is so necessary for women to know that if I am walking out of a relationship, I can go stay for a week or 10 days or a month, recoup,
Absolutely.
understand what
So
my
Ekta,
rights
you're
are,
you're
and
very
then
right
move on
there.
in my life.
And since we have short of we're short on time, 30 seconds. If you could quickly tell me what kind of support system do we have available, emotionally, financially, you know.
Correct. Invisible Scars, at Invisible Scars, we have a domestic abuse relief
Okay.
fund.
All right.
It's a private fund. We collect money, small amounts from donors.
Yeah.
We help people upskill themselves or reskill themselves to find
Right.
jobs. We've seen that economic independence is very crucial at this point. We have tie-ups with some good shelter homes, and we try and direct survivor to a shelter home, but survivors are not very comfortable in going to shelter homes.
Absolutely.
However, we do give them small amounts of money for rent, for
Okay,
ration,
one last
because no
question.
matter which
I'll
level of
have to
society a
stop you,
survivor,
Ekta.
sorry.
Quickly going to either Yukti, if you could tell us, don't you think education now, all of you should begin on this from a primary school level? You know, first of all, very few schools have psychologists, and even if they are there, they are not a part of the curriculum. So how do we teach kids, you know, to spot it and shun such misbehavior at home only and understand what giving respect to people is all about? Quickly, 30 seconds, Yukti.
I think you are saying right. First of all, we have to start that particular curriculum or subject from the school basis. Like we have science, social study. We must also have a different subject for women in which we will teach them about the domestic abuse and how to identify which person is good for you, what is the meaning of love, what is the meaning of trap, and how we can curb the situation. And if any woman is facing anything, how she may contact to the police station, what are the helplines, So this is a very urgent and very important thing which we have to
Right,
start from the
Yukti, that's
childhood.
that's all the time that we have today. So let me thank all of you. Thank you, Dr. Bhavik, Yukti Rathi. Thank you, Dr. Nisha Khanna. Thank you, Ekta Vivek Verma. Thank you so much for joining. And after listening to this discussion, if you still find yourself in a toxic relationship, it is definitely time to take some action before it becomes too ugly. Talk to your partner if you want to save your relationship. And if those bridges have been crossed, get ready to take the tough decision of whether you want to stay in it at all. All in all, what we need to say to anybody and all forms of abuses, whether physical, emotional or psychological, is a firm, strong and a very loud no. Thank you so much for joining us today.